Hi guys, I'm Jen Burson. Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. If you get frustrated or like a little bit nervous, or it feels somewhat stressful when a prospective client is like, we really liked your presentation, we enjoyed our conversation, our proposal, we're ready to kind of make a decision, we'd love some references. Does that make you go, because sometimes I'm like, what does that mean? If you have your clients, like brands or experts, looking and vetting your agency for services, it's probably not going to be out of the realm of things they're going to ask for references. And let's talk about what they are. But it's a little bit overwhelming if you haven't thought about references before. But when you get prepared and you do a little bit of the legwork up front so you're not scrambling when you get asked, it'll make things easier. We're going to talk about how to get references, what to do when you have them in place, how to handle these requests if you have no way to get a reference in the moment. So a reference is usually a client that works with you, has worked with you in the past, or works with you currently, and they'll speak to their experience working with you. Hopefully your reference will be positive, but that's up to the prospective client to decide whether it's really objective or if it's just kind of a fluff piece. Really, they're just like, yeah, they're great. They're going to want to get in and ask for specifics. What was the experience like? What were your results like? If they're not working with you, they're going to want to know why. What happened? Why are you no longer working together? And it shouldn't be scary. So I used to think about this like some of my best references were past clients, and that would feel a little bit like a disconnect, that I was referring clients that we're no longer working with because they had the best results or the best things to say. And the prospective client would say, well, why are these all clients or mostly clients you worked with in the past? I also had a challenge where there was a CEO of a company that didn't want to give a reference because she felt like she was sharing her secret sauce. And she was almost like, I don't want to share you with the world. And usually the references were in the same industry. And she would say, well, these are our competitors. Why would I tell them about working with you when they're going to get access to our, strategies you've created for us? That was her thinking. And so because she, as the CEO, would not give us a reference, I thought about someone else on the team who was very generous and said, yeah, we'll do that for you. And so I felt a little awkward offering up the, head of sales instead of the CEO, because I thought that the prospective clients would say, well, why isn't the CEO giving you the reference? And the deal in that situation is that that's who we dealt with the most. That was our number one point of contact, or like a CMO, right? And sometimes CEOs cannot be bothered. So those were some of the insecurities I had. The other thing too is I never want a prospective client, because I've had some that get on and the questions are insane. They take so much of your time, and I felt like it was a major disruption to my clients and their day. And I was like, ugh, I want to respect their time, and I don't want you to bother them, basically. So this approach is in response to all of those concerns that I had, all of those things that I wanted to avoid. So if you are ready to get references now, it's better to get them when you don't need them, right? Like if you're scrambling because you're at that phase in your process with a client and you want to close that quickly, you don't want to have to wait around for somebody else to get you what you need. So if you need it right now and you don't already have one, reach out specifically to your current clients, the ones where you have a great relationship and you've been providing exceptional service, and ask if they're open to being a reference, and see if they are comfortable with you passing along their contact information. And that's really all you have to do if it's like a need it now situation, and let them, give you, whether it's their email or they want to be texted, their preferred method of conversation, because you don't want to bother them. So you don't want to give the phone number and then have the prospective client call them if they don't want to be called. So say, here's the number for texting only, or they prefer to communicate over email. You can send them an email. And you don't have control over what they say. You don't have control over what the new client is asking for. You're just making the connection by getting permission from the client. But moving forward, there's two options for gathering references as part of your regular service delivery so that you have them and they are ready to go should a need arise. So the first option is whenever you're gathering testimonials for your client, and part of the process as you're collecting testimonials is you can make it a standard move that you ask them if they'd be open to serving as a reference to prospective clients for your services. And then you'll basically have a list of clients that you have permission to share the contact info for that exact purpose. And you can even take that testimonial and say, my client has agreed that I can share this with prospective clients. Here you go. Maybe that's enough. And then you say, if you need to speak with them further, they've agreed to talk with you, and then let them know the preferred means. So that's option one as a way to basically wrap that in to the ask when you're asking for testimonials. Say, this is so appreciated. I've loved working together. And oftentimes we get asked for references from prospective clients. I know you're really busy, but if the need arises, and it's not that often, would it be okay if I passed along your contact info? And that way you have it ready to go and you can just add them to your list. Option two is that right after you have a particularly good result, like a big win for a client, consider asking at that moment for a reference, because that's a great opportunity with like a positive feeling. Everybody's like high-fiving, yay, great result. Privately message that client, whomever is your typical point of contact, and say, I'm so happy that you're as thrilled with this result as I am. We're achieving such great results together. And then ask them, would you be comfortable, because from time to time we have a need arise, would you be comfortable with me sharing your information if a client would want to speak with you? And I will always preference to that prospective client to be respectful of your time and that you're available for no more than 15 minutes. Would that be okay? And they always say yes, right? And at that point, you also know your clients to know which ones would be like, nah, some just don't want to share you, and that's okay. You still have a business outside of them, but they don't need to know or have to give you permission for what it is you're doing. They just don't have to be a part of it, and that's okay. Find someone else. But at least that's good to go. And when the need comes up, you've got it set. And on the other side, what to do if a prospective client asks for references. If you have clients who've already agreed to be a reference, just pass that info on. And you also may want to provide case studies or press wins that are listed on your website for additional reference, or have a capabilities deck, something like that, that's evergreen and you update it all the time. That is a way also to showcase your abilities. And you can throw testimonials and case studies in there. So it comes essentially from the client. It's their results and it's their words. This is what they had to say about working with you. So you can have that ready to go. You can also have it on your website and link out to it. And you can send these things in lieu of references. If you do not have references, or if you do not want to give references, you're the boss, you don't have to. I'm always comfortable to give them unless I'm on the phone with someone. And sometimes it's a little bit of that like red flaggy type, like, are they going to be annoying? Right? Like, if I'm having a hard time kind of controlling the conversation, are they going to go off and like totally annoy my clients? And if I'm not 100% sure if those red flags are like conversation ending red flags where I'm like, oh no, I cannot deal with you. You suck. You're going to just, take up all my time with all your questions. I kind of make those decisions before I spread them into my community. Okay, so you don't have to share if you don't want to. You can just be like, here it is, If there's a situation like that, I would just say something like, I don't have permission to share contact info of my clients due to privacy concerns, or even you can say NDAs. But there are multiple case studies on my website that showcase the types of results that I've been able to achieve for our clients, specifically in your niche. And here are a few in particular I think would be of interest to you. And those clients have already provided feedback in the form of a recommendation or testimonial as part of that case study. So you can still see their words, you can see our results, but there's either privacy concerns or NDAs. And I want to respect my clients' wishes on that. So you can sort of get out of it that way. Not every client's experience is the same. It's like every client has a different outcome that you would want them to share about you, because it's going to move the needle on one piece of their experience working with you, or that a prospective client can see what it would be like to work with you. So like I would give an example. I have clients that would say, oh my God, their media relationships are amazing. They work so fast. And within 3 months, we had 500 million impressions in the first 3 months. That's not typical, but we did have that for one client. And so if I wanted to showcase our media relationships and that we're very nimble, and also talk about small agency versus a big agency and the kind of results you get in what time period, I would go to that client because I know they can speak specifically to that. I had another client that had a challenging product, and we came up with really cool creative ideas, and it actually landed press for them based on those ideas. And I would go to that client and say, could you speak about our strategic creativity? That's what I would think of as like each client's unique experience. Are you super responsive? And one client's always saying like, oh my God, you guys are so on top of things. Those are the things like each client can talk about they can't just say like generation's great or working with Jen and her team is great. Why? How? Where did that result come from? Is it because we're fast, because we're attentive, because we are nimble, because we came up with really creative ideas? Like, what could that client say specifically about their experience working with you that will move the needle, they'll wow prospective clients, and it'll have them feeling like working with you is like a total no-brainer. So when they ask for references, they're going to seek out the information they're looking for. They may not even consider some of the factors that are so special about you and your team that other clients can speak to. Okay, so some of you may not have any current clients or any wins to speak of or case studies. So what do you do in that case? Have you had any good past results, working in PR, whether it's for another agency or either in-house or as a freelancer, anything like that? If you have, reach out to previous or your current clients that you created amazing results for and see if they're willing to be a reference for you. And that's okay. Like I said, I used to feel really insecure about the references coming from past clients. So the prospective client would say, well, why don't you have any current clients? It doesn't matter, honestly. If they ask, you can say, well, I am not at a place with my current clients where I feel comfortable asking that yet, in time, but I want to be respectful of our new relationship. And, but I have other clients I have long-standing relationships with that I'd be happy to connect you with, who can speak about working with us for 5 years, 11 years, whatever it is. If you don't have any kind of good past results, be really candid. This is where new agency owners feel this huge wave of imposter syndrome come in. And they're like, I'm not legit. I've never done this. Who would hire me? Why would they hire me? So if you're a no in that regard, be really candid about the fact that you're just getting started in PR or even in your specific niche. But explain that you have a lot of experience doing X, whatever that is. So a lot of times companies will hire based on personality. They will hire based on drive, creativity, attentiveness, responsiveness. you can put it in a way that is like, I have had experience doing XYZ and I'm extremely responsive. Like, I was a journalist, I was on the other side of the camera or on the other side of the pitch. And I know what moves the needle with pitches. And I'm happy to connect you with people from journalism that can speak to how creative, how responsive, that I'm a great writer, happy to share some writing samples with you. This is a pivot that I'm making. And I'm, coming in here looking to make a change, to leverage my valuable experience to provide PR services, earned media services from that perspective. Or based on the work that I've done, my skills are really transferable and a true asset to a team working on earned media on your behalf. So because I am new with this particular level of service, you may want to offer them a discounted rate and say something like, what I would love to offer you is a significantly discounted rate so you can see what I'm all about. You'll see how hard I'm working. You'll see our hustle. You'll see that we're really going to bat for you and we're creating momentum for you. And that will get you in the door where you can start to gain that experience, get those results and get a case study and a testimonial and a reference that you'll then leverage to build your business. And if you decide to go that route with a reduced retainer or a reduced rate to get your foot in the door, you need to offer it for a set period of time. So it's 3 months, or 6 months, whatever you want to do. Because if you don't set a time around it, they will think it goes on forever and you'll be working at this really low rate forever. You have to have a point in there where it's a reevaluation period. And you want to explain to them that the goal of this time period would be for them, the client, to get a sense of what it's like to work with you. And you'll tell this prospective client that you're really passionate about them, their mission, their brand, their founder, whatever it is that you feel this connection to. Like, I know this is the niche that I want to go down, and that client would be the first best stepping stone for me to really carve out my path in this niche. And the reason I'm so connected to it is because I love the founder story. I love the brand mission. I love the products. I'm a fan of the products. I use the products, whatever it is, really convey that. And you can let them know, I already have so many ideas percolating and I'm ready to hit the ground running. And so in 3 months, you're going to see, maybe the press hasn't started to roll in, but you'll see how proactive we are, how creative we are, and they'll be excited. Like, they'll feel like they tapped into an undiscovered hidden gem that you are, that they're getting you eager and early and hungry at a super reduced rate. And they'll be the foundation that you build the rest of your business on. And I say this from experience. It's exactly how I started my business. First, I worked for free for a brand. And then when I was ready to really go after a paid client, I offered them a reduced rate for 3 months and said, give me a chance. And then ended up working with that brand for 11 years, not at the reduced rate, but it gets your foot in the door and you can be intentional about what client is stepping stone number one for you down the right path. And they'll see your passion and you're kind of positioning yourself as this hidden gem. So don't look at not having a reference or not even really having that experience yet as a negative. Try to position yourself as a positive. All of the experience you have up until now and your very first few clients are going to get that benefit of you as this kind of untapped hidden gem kind of thing. So position it that way. Reduced retainer, 3 months, I'll hustle hard and we'll reevaluate, but you're going to love working with me. I promise you, you'll love it. Like, it's going to be great. It's going to be great, right? So that's a way to kind of go around that. And you're ready to hit the ground running. You have tons of ideas percolating. I'm so passionate about your mission, your message, your product, your brand, your founder story, whatever it is that you're like, that's awesome. I can run with that. There's a lot here. Tell them that. And they'll be like, okay, okay, we'll give you a chance, sure. Like, what's 3 months, at a reduced retainer? What's 3 months? And there you go. And just put a time frame around it. And then you also want to have a go-to response for whenever a prospective client asks for references. So you don't want to waver on it. You want to be really confident, not like, like you hadn't thought of it or like it's problematic for you. So just be ready. You might want to practice it if they're on the phone and they're asking you, but have that confidence so it'll put them at ease. Because if you're not prepared and you stumble, it's going to make them wonder why you're not confident. It's maybe because you just hadn't thought of it yet, but it could also be like, oh, well, I don't have any clients who've had any good experiences. So, that's obviously not the case. You just need to be prepared because the question will come up. So practice it. Practice saying it and practice believing it so you can come across as confident and capable when you're asked. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I'd love to connect you with some of our clients. How many references are you looking for? Is like two good, 2 to 3? Of course, I want to run it by them just to make sure they have availability to connect with you and ask their best way to connect with you. Would that be okay if I got back to you at the end of the day tomorrow when I hear back from everyone? Hopefully sooner. Like, I'm ready. Like, I'm just going to contact them. And that also shows that when they become a client, you are going to treat them with a similar level of respect for their time and their schedule and their communication preferences. It's professional. So just be ready. Like, practice it and be like ready to go. And then you want to have that attitude also that not having references, it doesn't even matter. So, there's really something magnetic about someone who is super confident about themselves and their ability and excited about the opportunity. Founders are in their companies living, breathing, obsessing over every single thing they're doing every single day. And they want their outside contractors to be as passionate as possible about the work they're doing. They could have an SEO team who's just like, yeah, I have a formula. We're going to plug you in, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, that's like, whatever. It's a dime a dozen. When it's somebody who's communicating on your behalf and being your spokesperson, you want that person to have the level of excitement, enthusiasm, and confidence that, you would have if it were you out there speaking about your brand. You want to convey that. So these prospective clients, maybe if you're like telling them, listen, here's where I am and how it will benefit you, right? And you're super confident. You're going to believe in yourself, and that is going to come through in how you're speaking to clients, and it'll really give them a solid understanding of your value, and they're going to want to have you on their side. Okay, I promise when you're confident, magnetic, and you are excited about them, they will be drawn to you. So that's how I would go about it, whether you have those references, you're confident asking or not. Be ready for the question, have some ready to go. If you work on these testimonials and case studies, or you're going to have some of those pieces in place so you get asked and you're like, I got you, and just pass them along. Okay, that's what I have. Yeah, I will see you guys real soon. Have a great rest of your day.